Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So this week for my Korra bonus video, I wanted to do a breakdown of all the sub-bending styles. Book 3 is all about introducing the new airbending technique via Jinora, so I'll explain that too. They weren't super explicit when they mentioned it on the show, but Jinora had a few lines that summed it up. Hello any new people, if you're finding me for the first time, I do weekly Korra videos, be sure to subscribe to get everything. I'm even doing a special Comic-Con giveaway that I'll explain at the end of this video. So up to book 3, we've seen a sub-style for all the major bending forms. I remember whenever book 2 was getting ready to be released last year, they talked about creating a new sub-style for air, but whenever book 2 came out and went by with no explanation, everyone was a little WTF confused, especially with that whole Jinora Deus Ex Machina Rava save at the end. Technically, that was the sub-style. The way they showed it in book 3 looked a little bit different, but it's projecting your spirit. Jinora's words when she was explaining to Kai were, "It's a high-level airbender move with some spiritual stuff thrown in." That actually made me chuckle just a little bit because during the Book 2 DVD commentaries, Mike and Brian talked about that finale where Jinora pulled Rava out of Unavatu. They explained that they didn't know what she was doing specifically. They just wanted to see her resuscitate a little piece of Rava that was inside Unavatu. But for all intents and purposes, just think of the airbending substyle as spirit bending, not to be confused with energy bending. I guess in a way you could kind of consider energy bending a substyle of all forms of bending, even though it's strictly classified as its separate form. Jinora by far has the deepest connection to the spirit world, aside from Korra on the show, so of course she'd be the one to demo the new ability. I love how the series just kind of brushed over the fact that she discovered it without any help. Since we don't see a lot of Jinora scenes, I'm guessing she did sit down at some point and work it out, but Mike and Brian just decided not to show us the montage of her figuring it out. The other really important thing about this substyle is that it's very passive. Being that airbending is kind of a passive form of bending, so would its substyle. But here's a breakdown of all the other bending forms and their substyles. So next on the cool list is combustion. There's actually 3 forms of firebending, including lightning generation and lightning redirection, but Sparky Sparky Boom Girl is killing it right now, so let's start with that. So combustion is just channeling your chi through a focus point. It's like a blast. Denoted by the third eye tattoo all combustion benders have, like Sparky Sparky Boo Man in Last Airbender and now Pai Li on Korra. I say all combustion benders, but we've only seen 2, and they both have the tattoo, so it's a bit of a stretch. It's more of a focused heat blast than a searing burn you'd get from regular firebending. Yes, it is true that Azula and other prodigy firebenders can bend blue flame, which is way hotter, but in terms of blast damage, combustion is way more effective. It's not like a machine gun though. Because you're harnessing your chi, you have to focus your energy, so it takes time to recharge. If you lose focus, like when someone, say, throws a boomerang at your face, the blowback can kill you, like the kickback from a giant gun squishing your brains. So just because Combustion Man in Last Airbender and Pai Li on Korra right now are the only known combustion benders, it's not a genetic thing, it's all about spiritual alignment, just like the other forms of bending. Lightning generation and redirection are much more common substyles of firebending. Creating lightning requires you to separate the positive and negative energies in your body, like yin and yang in a physical sense. When you're able to control the interaction of positive and negative energy, the bender guides it outward towards the fingertips, resulting in a charge leaving the body in the form of electricity. They call it lightning just because it's discharged. The charge of the blast can be regulated, like using a dimmer switch on a light bulb. Iroh claims that he thought of lightning redirection after watching waterbenders, but he's just the first person to talk about doing it. That doesn't necessarily mean he was the one that came up with it. It's a little bit more like using your body as a conduit. So one of the coolest things whenever I first started watching Korra was watching them in Republic City using lightning bending to generate electricity for the city, just in a completely casual way. It was so funny. It totally makes sense that as bending becomes more sophisticated, it starts being used as a commodity. So moving on to the next coolest, waterbending. So the substyles are bloodbending and healing. During Last Airbender, Hama claims that she's the first one to figure out bloodbending, just realizing that most people are made of water, but I always wonder if she and Iroh, for instance, are just the first people to be recorded talking about special bending techniques. So jumping forward to Korra, the reason why Yakone, Tarlok, and Amon were able to bloodbend during the day or, at any time was because 1, they were very proficient benders, and 2, just because they practiced it a lot. When you're bloodbending, it looks like you're making a person move against their will, but really what you're doing is manipulating the liquid in their bodies. Every organic process in your body requires water molecules, H2O. They coat the membranes that float in all parts of your body, most notably around your bones and your muscles. So by moving those, it makes it look like you're moving your muscles. The reason it's so hard to do is because you're focusing on those small molecules that coat the muscles. And on the flip side, healing is less powerful, but it's way more practical. So it involves using the healing-based properties of water as well as water bending in an energy-based context. You can treat certain types of wounds, and because it's energy-based, you can detect problems with a person's chi. Unlock was also able to use this to quote-unquote heal dark spirits. I know they didn't explain that in Book 2 very much, but he's using a slight variation on Katara's healing ability to calm the spirits, and then taught it to Korra. Part of the reason why I think that Korra was not able to heal those spirit vines away in Republic City is because there wasn't anything wrong with them. If they had been dark spirit vines, I think that her technique would have worked, but they weren't attacking the buildings or going crazy in an unnatural way. They were supposed to be there. So moving down the cool list, we have earthbending substyles, which are metal bending, seismic detection, and lava bending. I definitely think that metal bending is one of my favorite substyles, and I do think that Bolin will eventually learn to metal bend. What you're doing is bending the trace, unprocessed parts of the earth elements in processed metals. So the more impure or unprocessed a metal is, the easier it is to bend. You're bending like the little unprocessed bits of earth in metals, just like a bloodbender bends the little bits of water surrounding your muscles. The reason Toph says she can't bend platinum is because it's a pure metal. There are no bits of regular earth left. It would be like a bloodbender trying to bend sand in the desert, even though technically at night there is moisture in the desert air. The seismic activity is a little bit different. Toph actually learned that from the Badger Moles as a practical application and just learning to get around on her own. You're basically using echolocation, so it does require you to feel vibrations on your naked skin so that they can travel through your body. That's why she always has to walk around without shoes. I always wondered how many times she had to wash her feet during the day. Lava bending is something that we saw Ghazan do whenever he was being broken out of his prison. This is a small contradiction in the way they explained it on Last Airbender, but during that series, it was explained that only a fully realized avatar could lava bend because it involved concurrent use of firebending and earthbending. But since we did see someone do it on Korra who was not an avatar, I'm assuming that he just used the friction in the air to heat the earth up. Like he just spun the earth so fast that the air friction heated it into lava. Doing that, Ghazan's able to create superheated blades. This is a pretty small scale thing though. Avatar Roku was able to erupt a volcano, and Avatar Kyoshi was able to use it to separate her island from the mainland. So moving on to the big mystery, energy bending. It predates all the other forms of bending, and there currently aren't any subforms associated with it, but that doesn't mean that somebody in the future won't think of one. It's basically when someone bends the life energy inside another person. Right now we know energy bending can be used to take away or restore a person's bending and impart knowledge instantly, like beam information into someone else's brain. It's been suggested that when the lion turtles were giving bending to other peoples during Avatar Wan's time, they were doing so using energy bending. So I guess if Korra ever did develop her energy bending skills enough, she could bestow bending on a non-bender. It remains the biggest question mark of all the bending styles, so hopefully Book 3 explores it a little bit more. So moving on to Book 3 stuff, they've released titles for all the rest of the episodes this season. There's going to be 13 total. Here they are in order. Episodes 6 and 7 tonight are called Old Wounds and Original Benders respectively. Episodes 8 and 9 next week are called The Terror Within and The Stakeout. Then episodes 10 and 11 the week after that are called Long Live the Queen and The Ultimatum. And then the two-part finale, episodes 12 and 13, are called Enter the Void and Venom of the Red Lotus. So I'm going to wait to speculate on what those episode titles mean until my episode review tonight. Be sure to subscribe to get that. I'll post it after the episodes air, like around 10 p.m. Pacific time. Here's the deal with my Comic-Con giveaway next week. I'm doing my regular weekly Korra giveaway, just like normal, but in addition, next week, I'm also going to be giving away a Pabu plush doll, Naga doll, or an Appa doll. Winner basically gets to choose. So I will actually be at Comic-Con, and I'll record the Legend of Korra panel. I'll upload that. That's going to be on July 25th. That's basically next Friday, so I should be able to upload that by that night. They're also airing 2 episodes next week, so I'll post a review for those 2. In the meantime, click here to get my review of tonight's episodes 6 and 7. I'll add the annotation as soon as I post it. And click here to get my review of episodes 4 and 5. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tonight. High fives.